Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Tech Informist. This is episode 31, recorded on February 11th, 2015. What is The Tech Informist, you might ask? The Tech Informist is a show intended to help inform and educate listeners such as you about the world of technology with lively and entertaining commentary about the latest tech news, along with interviews with guests from the tech industry. My name is Kevin Harvell, and I'm also joined by my good friend and co-host, JJ Hammond. JJ, how are you on this fine Wednesday morning?
I'm having a fine Wednesday morning, everybody.
Good, good.
How about you, Kevin?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Doing all right, he says. Well,
Doing
he'll
all
tell
right.
you why he's only just doing all right and not awesome, I'm sure,
Yeah.
later in the show.
Oh, yes, yes. People may want to know how they can get involved with us and find us in other places. To do so, you can watch live on our website at thetechinformist.com/live to watch and join in our live chat, which is happening right now. We've got a few people in the chat. Welcome, chat room members. Glad to see you today. And you can also see the upcoming episode and guest schedule. Email us contact at thetechinformist.com to send us feedback, comments, suggestions, etc., etc. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Instagram. Just simply search Tech Informist and you will find us. Would you like to leave a short review of the show if you like the show? Please visit iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Even if you don't really use iTunes to do anything, please head over there and just leave us a little review, however many star rating, whatever the system is over there. That helps other people find our show. So if you enjoy it, maybe other people enjoy it. So leave a review, leave a rating, help other people find the show, spread the word, tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that said, it is time to move into the news of the day.
The day.
And JJ looks like he altered the rotation, so I'm kicking things off today
Yes,
with.
I did.
So my first news story today is from CNET.com. Our cars are more hackable than we thought, according to a Senate report. An investigation finds that nearly 100% of new cars on the market today may be vulnerable to security and privacy violations, and automakers have done little to plug these holes. So this report, which was released Monday by Senator Edward Markey, who's a Democrat out of Massachusetts, which not too sure why they always put Democrat and from where. It's like, does it really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know some people get off on that, but
Mm-hmm.
just say where they're from. You don't have to put the D or the R or the L or whatever. They say with smarter cars comes improved safety, better performance, and all the benefits of a smartphone baked into your dashboard. Yet automakers have been slow to recognize how hackers can take advantage of the on-the-road computers or how best to protect our privacy. Senator Markey detailed lax cybersecurity that opens vehicles to potential hacking and drivers to privacy breaches as automakers collect more data on our driving habits.
Mm-hmm.
These findings were released following a 60-minute segment this past Sunday detailing how the U.S. government's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, was able to hack General Motors' OnStar system to remote control a Chevy Impala, including its brake and acceleration systems. So what do you think about this kind of stuff, JJ?
So I'm glad you asked. Well, not like you had anybody else to ask, but so one of the things that is interesting about this story, and I think more stories going forward, is how we covered this on another show that we do, Codecast by STL Tech Talk. We talked about how security is not one of the first things that comes to mind when a company approaches solving a problem, right? There are several different ideas that come across, and there's several different approaches that companies have. Security will lull anyone to sleep, and that's a sad thing because when a security guy or girl is sitting there talking about his or her craft, they're like, look, this is important, and they're trying to explain why, but the execs and everything are just like, again, how much does it cost? And it's one of those things where I feel like this is going to continue to be a thing when we go. If we're talking about Sony, if we're talking about Newsweek that was recently hacked, if we're talking about other organizations that are hacked, and then what is already killing more people in the world, or sorry, more people in the U.S., which is accidents, right? So car accidents, I think in 2013 was like 50,000 deaths. All right, so or roughly, if I might be a little off on that number, and I'm okay with that. But my point is like now we can, is there a way that we can track if a hacker gets in because of the ability of Wi-Fi in these cars, right? So you have Wi-Fi in these cars, you have the ability to hack in through OnStar, you have the ability to do all sorts of things, turn off and on a car. That's a thing. There are some security things in place, but I don't believe that enough security measures are taken into account when a company actually puts a product on the market, and that's sad because I don't know if it's just a lack of talent or a lack of know-how or a lack of care, but something has to be done sooner rather than later. And I know I'm not alone with that. I mean, I know that a lot of people, when we put a lot of trust in organizations to do their jobs, and when they don't, and we find out stories like this one, it's very disconcerting to the market as a whole.
Mm-hmm. It's good, good. Tell us about some of your Apple news you've got coming up
Hey,
today.
so just the other day I was talking about a subject, and that subject was Apple, and it was when Richard Devine was on, and I was talking about the top 6 companies that are rated on being the greenest, more environmentally friendly companies, and Apple was actually below Walmart, if you can believe that. So Apple, because they listened to this show, felt that it was necessary to come out and tell this story about how they're going to invest 850 million, so we're approaching $1 billion, to build a giant solar farm that will power its new headquarters. The company is partnering with First Solar on an ambitious renewable energy project. One of the biggest story, captions, that quotes that pop out to me is, "We know at Apple that climate change is real." Love that. Apple CEO Tim Cook told an audience at Goldman Sachs Technology, what the heck was he doing with those snakes, an internet conference, that the company is very focused on making environmentally responsible decisions. As proof, he's offered up a piece of news. Cook says Apple is investing almost $1 billion to build a brand new 1,300-acre solar farm in Monterey. Wow, I've never heard of Monterey, California. The energy produced there will be used, at least in part, to power Apple's new headquarters. We all know at Apple that climate change is real. For the first time, for the first talk has passed, and the time for action is now. He says that not only is this the right thing to do, but it will result in more savings for the company, which, duh, I mean, you're getting energy from the sun. Apple is partnering with First Solar to build the farm. That's the same company that Apple bought massive factory site from in Arizona, a location that will also reportedly be used for the construction of solar power data command center. Their command center is what they're calling it. They're thrilled, of course, PR words. We're thrilled to offer the, okay, yeah, we all know them, whatever. The project is expected to add 130 megawatts of new solar power to California, enough to power about 50,000 average homes. It will cover all companies' energy needs in the state, including Apple Campus 2, other California corporate offices, the data center in Newark, California, and the 52 Apple stores in California. The First Solar says that the 25-year deal is the largest agreement in the industry to provide clean energy to a commercial end user. Kevin, I am super stoked about this. What do you think?
All I can say is bravo, and Apple's got the money to do it. This is
Mm-hmm.
this is great. I mean,
Yeah.
being able to, once you obviously pay this off, I mean, it's just going to be like, free energy. I mean, it's just going to help them, make more money, obviously. I mean, their account, going forward, which will lead into, kind of my next story about Apple crossing 700 billion as a company,
Wow.
which now makes them like the world's most valuable company in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this just like came out yesterday that shares of Apple stock today reached another all-time high, which in and of itself isn't shocking. Apple does that on a regular basis. But today, market the point where Apple as a company crossed the $700 billion line.
Mm-hmm.
They've been the world's most valuable publicly traded company for some time, but its
Mm-hmm.
skyrocketing share price has seen it rapidly pull away from every other company on the planet.
Yep.
And that's
It's not
crazy.
slowing down.
No, it's amazing. And the people that got in on Apple stock way back when it first came out,
Right.
mad props to you and oh gosh, lucky people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lucky people. But no,
Just
I love your story, JJ. That is really cool.
yeah, I think yeah, and Brett, I agree. You know, the Apple's really just blazing a trail. I mean, they're unless something fundamentally changes about how this movement into smart everything, they're not slowing down. You noticed, and you made a good note of this when you were at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. You made note that we're living in an iOS world, we're living in an Apple world, because
Mhm.
developers not only have been but continue to develop for Apple's platform. I
Yep.
mean everything else, and when I mean everything, I mean Android, Windows, whatever down the line. Nothing is getting as much love as iOS stuff. I mean,
Right. I mean, it's just, accessories and all sorts of technology.
mhm.
It is geared for the Apple market first.
Yep,
There's just
first.
no denying it.
Nope, not at all.
Not
And
everybody has to like that. That's the reality.
and I think they were smart. They moved to the bigger screen, which is gorgeous, and then the even bigger screen, which is even better for some people. And we've talked about that before. And I think that their success is unique, and for the first time in the history of this world, they've been able to do what they've done in a vertically integrated company. So it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
It is pretty insane. So, go ahead.
Before you move on to your next story, I know there's probably some people out there wanting to know that have listened to episode 30, want to know how things are going with my Apple MacBook purchase.
Oh, you're gonna slide that story in here?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
just
go
going to
ahead.
slide this into just real quick, just a little
Okay.
touch. Let's just say I was able to get it ordered. We're actually going to get it for a little bit better than the original quote, the price.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm going to have to call the banks again because now they're saying, well, one of your banks has declined. I'm like, well, okay, so I got this line of credit for this amount, and I used that amount, and I used another amount from, obviously our checking account. And so, obviously, the email from Apple today is, your bank has declined this purchase. I'm like, well, which bank? I had to use two
Mm-hmm.
because you wouldn't bump up the line of credit, and this has really been an interesting journey as a first-time Mac user. But hey, I'm still gonna trudge on, and we'll update you again in the future.
Yeah.
JJ, next story,
I
please.
think I think they're underestimating. I mean, I'm not saying we have a whole lot of weight on this show, but what do weight we have, we're gonna talk about it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Google's no, I'm not. I'm not actually sorry. Google annual developer conference called Google I/O will take place May 28th and the 29th in San Francisco, of all places. Psh, who would have thought that? The company said today registration for Google I/O 2015 will begin at 9 a.m. March 17th.
Happy
So
St. Patty's Day.
I'm not in. Oh crap! Oh, I'm in. Oh, okay. Give as many tickets as you can. The event will be live streamed for those who aren't able to participate, the company said. And an excited Sundar Pichai says they're happy to announce the Google I/O in San Francisco and all the details that I just said. Last year, the theme of I/O was bringing Android everywhere to autos, wearables, and beyond. This year, the website reflects the material design look of Android's embrace, but no schedule for the event has been posted so far. The website also includes a Chrome experiment. By clicking a settings button, you can access a page that lets you create music by connecting dots with virtual strings, moving your mouse across them, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of cool, and that's the whole reason why I brought it up, is they got this whole interactive thing. But here's why I bring up this story. I'm looking for this year's Google I/O to address the very real problem of updates, of the OS updates. Google addressing issues with their OEM partners and people who skin Android for their devices. Now, again, I know I harp on this, but I still think that Google's more pure Android experience, and the closer that OEMs can get to the material designs and all this other kind of stuff, but more specifically, the upgrade cycle to the OS needs to be faster, or there needs to be an outlet to where people can go and just get it when they want it, instead of wait for their carriers to necessarily do that. I know there's a way to do it because Apple does it, so don't tell me there isn't, because I can see it. You know what I mean? So for me, that's something I'm looking forward to. Also, the upcoming capability is what's the 64-bit processors are going to be able to do. A lot of people are just like, guys, 64-bit processor, QHD display. I mean, Kevin, you speak to this a little bit with battery quality. How are they going to address this issue? Is there something up their sleeve about, with these new maybe 810 Qualcomm processors that kind of control, overheating, not overheating, I'm sorry, but the overuse of battery management, those types of things? Are those going to be addressed, or is it just going to be the same thing until there's more research done in the battery space? So that's my thoughts on Google I/O. What are you looking forward to from it?
I'm looking forward to the chaos that's going to be the morning of March 17th, because
Right.
it's a lottery system and how you get it. It's not, first come, first serve. It's, you get in, you sign up. I mean, you'll have, a couple days to go ahead and try to attempt to get registered, and then it just goes into a lottery system and you're just randomly picked. So that's the way they did it last year, and it's not going to matter how early you get in. You're just going to be randomly chosen. So, best of luck to everybody that can afford to go out there, and it's really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the conference. Don't think we'll be able to get out there, but you never know. Yeah, you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsor, anybody?
Right. You're up, Kevin.
All right, so
I like this one.
yeah, this is actually a pretty good story, and I mean, it's something that touches a lot of people, mothers, grandmas, sisters, wives.
Mm-hmm.
How about a cancer detecting bra? And this could be a reality sooner than you think. Now, this is a story from gigaohm.com that says, here is a cancer detecting bra that's better than a mammogram. Breast cancer, and permit a full recovery. That's why many women endure the discomfort of having their breasts smushed once a year or every few years as part of a routine mammogram. What if instead of making an appointment at an imaging center and having a machine flatten your breasts, all you had to do was put on a bra? Circadia Health, that's spelled Cyrcadia, which is a startup, has pioneered a system that includes a series of temperature sensors embedded in a bra, along with an algorithm and an app that purports to detect breast cancer earlier than a mammogram and better than a mammogram when it comes to dense breast tissue. Rob Roya, CEO of Circadia Health, says that by 2016 he aims to have FDA approval for the IT bra in the U.S., so doctors can offer it to patients in place of a mammogram. So eventually consumers would be able to buy the product over the counter and use it in place of monthly self-exams. This, I mean, it's a pretty interesting idea. The IT bra is getting a boost via a documentary film backed by Cisco, which will be shown at the South by Southwest Film in Austin, Texas next month. Cisco is getting involved because it hopes to build a big business helping old-line companies understand how to bring technology into their day-to-day operations. Really, what the Internet of Things will do is let the Internet invade pretty much everything from our buildings to our bras.
Other than saying this is amazing, and I think, again, we're going into an era where computing is going to be on all sorts of devices that in one light can be used for bad, just like when we talk about mythical things and and philosophical questions. You can use it for evil or you can use it for good. We're going to see a lot of good, we're going to see a lot of bad, and I'm really looking forward to a lot of good.
Yeah, I would love to know what the Susan B. Komen Foundation's thoughts are on this idea. I mean, they're obviously one of the biggest well-known breast cancer awareness fundraisers, for research and stuff like this. So,
right,
interesting.
Right. So, okay, here's an interesting story. Man, this would suck. No, I'm sorry. So I I accidentally messed up the order of this here, so I apologize. So let me go back to storage, copy. So it feels like, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong here on this, Kevin, but when lately companies have been talking about with Bing Rewards, for example, you can get 100 gigabytes of OneDrive storage if you join Bing Rewards. Well, you can get unlimited storage if you have Office 365, right?
Right.
But if you don't want to pay for Office 365, which some people, just don't, I mean, this is an awesome way to get 100 gigabytes of storage for 2 years. It's free cloud storage that offers kind of a gimmicky jump through process with the Bing Rewards program. Again, Bing, I know you're listening. Darn it, I want something, and you'll get 100 gigabytes of OneDrive storage. Now you'll get that for a whole 2 years. If you're registered, you'll still be eligible to take advantage of the offer. This doesn't seem to be much like a way of fine print or an obvious downside here, aside from getting spammed with occasional emails. And there's another thing that's kind of going on with Google right now, so I'll split the stories. If you happen to prefer Google Drive, it's worth noting that the Mountain View is currently offering a permanent 2 gigabyte increase to your storage if you're willing to complete a quick security checkup. That was weird, right? Reserving some space in the cloud for your documents, photos, music is getting cheaper pretty much everywhere you look, but nothing beats free. That's true. I would argue that the Office 365 is the way to go. However, having the 100 gigs and using OneDrive is a great way to get people using it, and then just like a drug, you get them hooked on it and they keep coming back for more. So this is exciting to hear, but it is interesting to see how Microsoft, for the first time, in my humble opinion, was able to change this particular sector of the market in storage when they offered the unlimited storage, right? And when they offered all these other storage options, and then that kind of made everybody either drop the prices or expand the size of their storage. Kevin, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I think for users such as myself, I mean, last night I had to upload right around 20 gigabytes of, film and photo footage from an event that I went and shot last night. So 100 gig wouldn't get me too far. It'd give me like five events. So
Mm-hmm.
with the Office 365 and unlimited, I'm taking advantage of it. it
Mm-hmm.
it's great, and being able to use it it's wonderful. I kind of wish the OneDrive upload and download speeds were a little bit better,
Yeah.
because I know their servers just can't handle the traffic, and definitely do not see the full throughput of my connection when uploading and downloading, actually.
Nice. You're up, Kevin.
All right, so my next story is Google has been talking about their plans to nab 80% of Microsoft's Office business. Will they be able to do that? 10 years ago, Google declared war on Microsoft Office by offering a cheap alternative on the web, Google Apps. Many
Mm-hmm.
people know, Google Drive and Slides and all that. Flash forward to 2015, and the company has big plans to grab 80% of the users at Microsoft's biggest customers. In 2005, the whole industry looked at us like we were crazy. Rajan Sheeth, who's a director of product management for Google's enterprise team, they don't think that way anymore. 2014 was a breakout year for Google in convincing large enterprises to use its email, word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, cloud computing, and cloud storage. And according to them, we ain't seen nothing yet. Amit Singh, president of Google for Work, just shared with us his plans to elbow its way into Microsoft's turf and walk away with, he hopes, most of the users at large companies.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "We're ready for them now. I think the last 12 months we've proven to A, ourselves, and B, the market, that the apps are ready for adoption in large enterprises. Now I think it is the time to actually scale that even further." End quote. The plan is simple but ingenious. Step 1, make sure the apps Google offers have 85 to 90% of the functionality of Office. Step 2, don't worry about the remaining 10 to 15% of features required by power users, particularly Excel. Step 3, support Office documents as a first-class citizen. And step 4, and quote, this is the brilliant part. Don't try and convince enterprises to convert from Microsoft Office to Google Apps. So very interesting. You can do Google Apps for Work, costs $5 per user per month, up to $10 a user and month. And Drive for Work costs $10 a user per month, which includes apps and unlimited storage. So, I mean, we've talked in the past about different ways that Google has bumped up their cloud storage for Drive and all that, and it looks like they're looking to really move move in and to do this. I mean, we've used Google Apps in the past with things, but we've been using our OneDrive account for a lot of things here at the Tech Informist and other podcasts. So
Hmm. Hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually do that, how long it might take to do this, but it's very ambitious of Google.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be able to do this. I think that the consumer and the business, if you will, when I'm using quotation marks, they're very slow to adopt change, and they're especially not. Most businesses don't have the highest speeds of internet. Most businesses don't have. Some businesses are still running on XP as an operating system. I think that they have high ambitions and competition is good. I fear nor man, no man nor beast nor thing on the world. All I can do is what I can do with what I've got, and I feel like, even from CyanogenMod trying to take Android away from Google, and I think with all of Google trying to take away Office from Microsoft essentially with offering free stuff, I always come back to this thing where you just need to do your stuff as best as you can, and then everything else will work itself out. It's really interesting to me that Google is going to try to take on Office in such a strong manner because I don't believe that even Office is mainstream enough as far as all the different features that you will use on it going forward in this touch first world. The reason why I say it like that is because you have to understand how people use these documents. You have to understand how stuff happens on a day-to-day basis, how things are made, how things are created, why things are created, and most of the time people don't use the full features of Office. They just don't. And I think that this is one of those areas that Google's going to say that they're 100% in, but they're not actually going to be 100% in. I know I'm kind of sounding a little down here, but this is one of those stories where I'm just like, guys, really, you're not going to offer Google as a service with these documents and stuff that's better than Office. You're just not going to be able to do that unless you're legitimately 100% copying everything that Office can do. Because Office is sick, dude. You can do ridiculous amount of things with Office that you can't do with Google Docs and apps and all that stuff. Not only that, you have to be connected to online. There's and some, yeah, you can download stuff offline, but I just think that it's one of those things that are going to be talked about, but Google's going to do things like they always do, which is sometimes just half-heartedly, and they're not going to do a full hardcore this is going to be awesome. I'm not normally a negative person on this show, but I really hated this story a lot. So because I just think that of all people, Google killed off Glass. They're the Nexus Q, the Nexus Player, all this stuff that's going on with stuff that they've done. I just don't think that they're the company to point to say, yeah, these guys can follow through with something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just interesting, and I guess with me, it's like you don't have to, be so. I mean, confidence is one thing, but just going out and being cocky and arrogant about
Right,
it,
right, right.
that's another story. I mean, don't get me wrong, Google Apps and Google Docs and all that stuff works phenomenal. Love it. But, unless there's ways to use it offline, it's kind of a whole other beast. And, I honestly will admit I have not used a Chromebook yet, so I'm not sure if there's ways around some of these limits, but
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, the service by itself is good, but a lot of times it's tough to get users, and especially when it comes to businesses, to make a big change, such
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
going from Office to this. No matter how good the benefits could be,
Hmm.
I know from experience trying to get a business I worked for to make the switch to something that would make life a lot easier, not only on us as technicians, but just as the company as a whole. And
Right.
it just was shot down.
Okay, so the next story that I have will go off of the one that I screwed up earlier in the show, which is, man, this would suck. Hackers use the most insulting part of Forbes' website to distribute malware. Well, guess what? Guess what? All right, look, Forbes, for better or for worse, does a pretty all right job of finding stories. Now, how awesome they report on those stories, depends on who you listen to. Or not listen, but I mean, it depends on who you read, right? So, nobody likes advertising that pops up when you first hit a website, right? One of the cool things about The Verge, and trust me when I say that hurts to physically say, is the cool thing about The Verge's website is there's not a pop-up deal that happens when you first hit the site. Like, why do that? Because that pop-up takes you away from the site if you click on it, right? It takes you to, it opens up a new window, or it takes you to a new thing, or whatever. Why would a company want to advertise like that anyways? That's just ridiculous. I digress. So turns out that Forbes, when you go to Forbes.com, they have a thought of the day, which they apparently have a lot of thoughts. Turns out that Chinese hackers took over that widget that pops up on the screen like that. And anyone who clicks on the link to Forbes, you'll find yourself not where you hope to arrive, but rather in a disingenuously named welcome string, setting a type of what is the thought of the day. It squats in a crudely rendered cartoon bubble speech, indifferently placing toward the top left of the screen, and on the backdrop of the bleakest gray. Between Forbes' logo and everything contained in the speech bubble, the thought is a riot of face types. It's as if the designer were being paid for by the font. And that's to say nothing of the thought itself, a platitude of empty thoughts and blah, blah, blah. So the hackers use a vulnerability in Flash and Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer, you know, good thing they're coming out with Project Spartan, right, Kevin? For years, the thought of the day has been compromised intellectually, but the Washington Post reports that 3 days in December, the thought of the day was compromised from a security standpoint. Chinese hackers mounted an attack targeting U.S. defense and financial institutions using the thought widget. The paper reported the hackers used vulnerabilities in Adobe Flash and Internet Explorers to mount their attack. Visitors from certain companies and organizations who saw the widget were redirected to a second site where malware was basically installed on their computers once that happened. I don't know. It doesn't really say in here what version of Internet Explorer they're talking about. It just says it was Flash and Internet Explorer. It doesn't talk about what version. I would be curious to find out if it was the latest version of Internet Explorer or an earlier version, or like maybe an earlier version of Flash too. So I'm going to kind of look more into this, but it brings up an interesting point. When what we do here is we read the news to you. We're not breaking any stories or anything, but we find things that you may have missed, or with things that we inform you, our listeners, on, and that means we have to go to a lot of these sites, and I sometimes hit Forbes or whatever, and I'm like, ah! It's like, do you want to skip this ad? Do you want to skip this ad? So using a touch screen, my surface usually I go real close to make sure I hit that X, because if you hit anywhere else besides that little X, you're going to that page.
Oh yeah.
So this brings up an interesting point. Why advertise like this, and why is Forbes, again, another company whose security is laxed, but one of the more reputable places for people to get news? What the heck, guys? Spend the money, even though you don't want to protect yourself from these kinds of things. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I completely agree, especially when you're using touch devices. I do not like whenever you visit a website and you get that big pop-up right there in front of you. Especially whenever you start scrolling down and start reading the article, all of a sudden something pops up. I'm like, wow, really?
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm like you with different versions of Internet Explorer. A lot of people are still back on Internet Explorer 7 or 8, or I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Update, update,
Okay.
update.
I'm excited to hear about your story.
All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about.
I don't like where it's from, but it's a story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is from BusinessInsider.com about
Mm.
Microsoft and Samsung have settled their contract dispute over patents. Now, this has kind of been big within the last so many months now. Microsoft and Samsung have ended their contract dispute over patents, though the terms of the settlement are confidential, Microsoft said in a statement released on Monday.
Hmm.
Microsoft had sued Samsung last year in a federal court in New York, accusing Samsung of breaching a collaboration agreement by initially refusing to make royalty payments after the U.S. company announced its intention to acquire Nokia's handset business back in September 2013. So we do not have details, obviously, but it's good if they have come to an agreement and we can stop with these lawsuits and things like
Hmm.
that. Maybe Samsung and Apple will eventually get their differences settled, but
It's
I
always
would
about money. It's always about
I
money.
would not bet on that.
Right. Well, my only thought on this is I do think that Samsung's going to come out with a flagship type of Windows 10 phone. I really do. I really, really do. The reason, just because they're Samsung and they throw everything against the wall. I mean everything. It may not get a lot of adoption. Look, the Samsung, I want to say Native, yeah, the Samsung Native, and I think the Neo or something like that. Um, those were pretty all right devices on different carriers. They didn't really go anywhere, but I think we can see some legit offering from Samsung because they have expressed interest in having that, and they already have an Ative book, so they have a line, right, a product line. So I would like to see, because I do think that competition is good, and I think that they can make a compelling case for a really nice Windows 10 phone.
All right.
I think they'll do that.
Speaking of phones, talk about your last story.
I do want my phone to eventually become my one and only computer. I like this article because it brings up the future, in my opinion. Now, this article does come to, let's see, us from. Why did that? Okay,
Looks like
this comes to
why.
us from Wired. Yeah, in less than 2 years, a smartphone could be your only computer. Now, this is an interesting story. Now, by the way, Wired, really good site. Like it a lot. They sometimes have that pop-up window thing too, which you need to fix it. The reason why I bring this up is I do want this, and I think this is one of those things where I have a Surface. I dock it. I use it for this show. I use it for all sorts of stuff. My phone, I use it for all sorts of stuff. It's the 6-inch phone. It's ginormous. It's ridiculously large or whatever. But in 2011, the Motorola Atrix, if you guys can remember that, had a really kind of clunky laptop dock type of deal, and it allowed for this computer experience, right? This laptop experience where you could plug this phone in, and then it became like a laptop, and that was really, really neat. And a lot of people talked about it. I like this idea. I really, really do, because the ability to just dock this thing and go, that would be so hot. What are your thoughts on that, Kevin?
I would love this. This is an idea that I've kind of been picturing and envisioning for some time actually. That is your primary device.
Mm-hmm.
You have your smartphone. You just come home, put it in a little dock, and it hooks up to a larger monitor, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and stuff, and you can just get things done. As powerful
Mm-hmm.
as these devices are, I mean, the biggest limitation is the internal storage. But if
Right.
you've got
Right.
access to your cloud storage, you can access it all that way. And then your other next big limitation would be graphics processing. So I mean, you're not going to be editing huge video files on these smaller devices because obviously hardware limitations. But you could probably get some pretty basic stuff done with, photo editing with like Snapseed and things like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it would be really nice to be able to do so in the future.
Yep. Into the future. All right, so you're up next, Kevin, with application picks of the week. Application
Yeah,
show, all sorts of fun stuff. That we should stop calling. What are we going to call this? Is we're going to call this new segment Entertainment Zone. No,
right.
something with entertainment. That would be cool though, right?
Right,
Okay,
'cause
you're up.
it's not only app picks, it can be movies, music, TV shows, just
Hmm.
anything that kind of like fits into some kind of pop culture. I mean, apps are pop culture too.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so we recently talked about how to scan books with Amazon being able to use this new service, scan a book
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
page by page by page.
All right.
Well, after that recent episode, a listener let us know about an app from the website Bitlit, BITLIT.com, which lets you scan, for example, a bookshelf of books that are in your home. You take, snap a picture, whether you got to take a couple pictures of it, and then you submit it. And if there if there are digital copies available, you would then get access to that because once you prove that you own this book, then you could get access to the digital copy. So I installed the app on my Android. So I have tried it. I haven't like used it. I installed it and looked through it just to see. And I
Right.
believe it's also available on iOS of course. So with those two platforms, and it was free to
Nice.
install. So go to bitlit.com. That is bitlit.com. And if you've already used it in the past, let us know your thoughts on it, and if it's something that interests you, let us know what you think. So thank you, Rennie. Thank you for contacting the show to let us know about that. And
Thank you.
for a
Thank you.
for a television show, last night I watched. I finally had a
It's a
chance to
good
catch
show.
up catch up on some past episodes. It's a new show.
Hmm.
It's called Backstrom, and it's on Fox. It's about he's a detective, and the character
Yeah, it's a
the
crime
lead
drama,
the
whatever.
yeah the lead character is played by Rainn Wilson, who many of you know as Dwight from The Office. But whenever my first time I saw him on a television show was on 6 Feet Under, and ever since then I loved him as just an actor from his time on that show.
Hmm.
So it is actually pretty good. It's very quirky and it's just very interesting. There's a lot of humor to it and a lot of oh my god, did he really just do that? So check it
Right.
out.
Right.
Backstrom on Fox.
It's really good. It is really good, and I think they have a good storyline, and I think a lot of people are going to like it for sure. I think that the people who did Bones did this, so it's pretty good. My show pick is Falling Skies. It's a great show. If you have Amazon Prime, you can get it on an instant video. It's great. It'll have its final season this year throughout the summer, and I can't wait to watch it. It's essentially The Walking Dead, just alien versions of it, but it's so good. And the special effects are amazing. I mean, it's aliens. It's just like the aliens come to take over the planet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all get the storyline, but it's really just really really well done, and there's a lot of really great actors in it. Many of you will know Weil, the main guy, but it's just oh man, it's such a good show. There's not enough I can say about it. But that is our entertainment picks of the week. Ooh, I like that. That sounded better. So thank you all for your contributions. Thank you for everybody in the chat room. Thank you to everybody who listens to the show. We just really, really appreciate it. And we're excellent on time. So bring us home, Kevin.
All right. So for people that would like to submit any topics or anything for upcoming episodes or guest suggestions, please email them to contact@thetechinformist.com. Again, my name is Kevin Harvell. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Harvell. JJ, people can find you at
JJ Hammond Music on Twitter.
All right. And that does it for another episode of The Tech Informist. Again, I would like to thank all of our listeners and viewers. We do truly appreciate it. As JJ said, thank you also to those who joined us in the chat room today. So from everyone here at The Tech Informist, consider yourself informed, and until next time, we're out.